Welcome to William Steele, True Crime and Steele Spotlight TV with my very special co host, Frank Lordi. Frank, how are you?
Fine. How are you, Bill?
Hanging in there. This is our second, I think, or third show together. We didn't put the first one up yet, but so you're
Yeah.
going to be a
Okay.
regular here, and I'm happy to have
Good.
you. Now, for my
Glad to be
audience,
here.
Frank is pretty much an expert at all things faith, Christianity, and his story is in the book behind him, Framed Innocence, My Fight for Justice. He was a county commissioner who ran on a ticket of exposing corruption and rooting out corruption in a county in Ohio. And I let him tell the story. And his political adversaries, when he beat them, retaliated fiercely, and he ended up in prison for $200. So let's hear Frank introduce his story for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to roll into some shows, some issues that are in the news today, and especially the Colorado Supreme Court taking Trump off the presidential ballot. What the heck? So, Frank, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. As the papers reported back then, when I was a little tot, it was called, what was it called, Bill? I drew a blank. Oh, I know what it was called. Bill, I'm drawing a blank. And I could
That's
see the
okay.
words in my mind. Hold on. It'll come. We were known as Little Chicago. And I
Oh, there you
believe
go.
I was little. As I grew up, I learned that it was about the bombings and the assassination attempts and bombings of cars, bombings of restaurants, of people that maybe weren't liked real well by the other side because our area was controlled by two factions, the Pittsburgh faction and the Cleveland faction, because we're located in the middle, so to speak, distance wise. So there was always fight for the territory that was going on, what was going on in these areas that they were interested in
Right.
taking a percentage of. But it is what it is. We're trying to make a comeback. It's not easy.
Well, listen, we're going to have Frank on repeatedly here, but if you want to know more about his story, check out his book. It's going to be available in the description, the link to the sales page at his website, Framed Innocence. Now, he brought with him a special guest today, very, very special guest that he's going to introduce to us here in a minute. Um, let's see what your guest looks like here.
All right, come here, baby. This is my baby.
Oh no,
There's
Button.
buttons. There's buttons in I love her. She's moving. She's moving her face. This is a rescue off the east side of Youngstown.
Oh
This
wow.
is a rescue off the east side of Youngstown, and I was told that by many people over the years that rescues seem to make the best pets, and maybe they were lonely for quite a while, and they brought somebody into their life that's going to love the heck out of them, which I do.
Wow.
She's my
She looks
baby.
really,
She
really.
listens to me. I've had a nephew that stayed with me for a weekend for some entertainment, and he couldn't get over how she's like human because I tell her to go on Daddy's chair, come on Daddy's couch. Who's
She
that
looks
button?
very, very docile and
She's
peaceful
looking.
and happy.
She's looking at the screen, wondering who you are.
Button,
Yeah,
can
she
you hear
is.
me? Let's see if she reacts to this.
Who's that button?
What a
Who's
beautiful dog.
that?
What kind of dog is she again?
She's a cross between a cocker spaniel. She has the cocker spaniel long ears and the little beady black eyes of a Vashon. That's an all white dog as well. She's got a
She's
little
very beautiful.
brown in her.
I wonder if she'll have
She's
any
my
input
baby.
about what. I
There
wonder if
she's
she'll have
coming
any
in up on
input
her.
about what the. Does she have any opinion about what the Democrats are doing to President Trump?
One means no and two means yes. Gave you two. One button.
She's very cute. You can leave her up there if you're
My
comfortable with
baby.
her. That's fine. I'm sure my audience would
Yeah,
love.
I am. I can. She wants to get down.
You almost need to have a perch for her right on your shoulder, like a parrot.
I could put her on my shoulder, but her face would be to the back.
Right.
Unbutton. Who's that button?
Hold her up to the
There you
camera one
are.
more time so we can get a good screenshot, and then maybe we'll put her on the thumbnail too. Hold her up like in the screen between you and your book cover. There you go, nice and close. Okay, Button, bye. We have to get on with the show. We have billions of people
Hey,
watching.
button.
From my lips to God's ears, right?
There you go. Yep, you got it.
Man, that's a cute dog. You bring her to work every day?
Oh yeah.
Listen, Frank, we got to talk about what's going on in Colorado. What are you hearing?
I hear that by all accounts from enough experts that I heard that are a lot more expert than I am, that it should be a 9-0 vote, but there's a good chance it could end up 7-2. I hope it does up 7-2 because I really want it to be 9-0. It would show that they're all on the same page instead of playing politics. And
Right.
two of them would try to side. I don't know if you know this, Bill, but the makeup of that 7-member appeals court, not appeals court, the state court,
Colorado
was
Supreme
a makeup of 7 Democrats. And the vote was 4-3. So at least 3 of them felt that there's no validity to it. I don't believe there's any validity to it after hearing the experts talk about it. That was put back way back in the early days of the Civil War to prevent anybody that was part of that Civil War out killing people and doing the nasty things they were doing to try to take over the government. So that's why that was put in. But what's amazing about this, Trump wasn't even charged or found guilty. But what's even more amazing than that I don't know what to call him, the main prosecutor who's been after Trump from the beginning, who's brought most of these charges, never charged him for those 2 charges because he knew they weren't valid. So now there's 16 more, I believe, states that can do the same thing. I mean, at least present it to their Supreme Court of that state. But I think that the Supreme Court should and probably will act quickly on this, not to cause any bogging down of the Supreme Court with stuff like this that's clearly out of bounds.
Well, it can get like 10 years to get heard in the Supreme Court if they even accept your case. But this case is what they call a matter of great public importance. And they're looking at not only their calendar in the Supreme Court, they have to realize that they're looking at the presidential race calendar. Elections are coming up. Trump is the far and ahead, forerunner, heads above everybody else, and he's going to win. There's no question about it at this point. But it's just disgusting. And I've been in trouble. I've been in prison, and the level of corruption within certain judges and lawyers and prosecutors and corrections officials. Not that they're all bad. There's some good people that go into public service for a reason, and they try to help people. But how disgusting is it that the level of corruption is literally to the level of the Supreme Court of the state of Colorado? My opinion, not YouTube's opinion, maybe not Frank's opinion, but my opinion, YouTube. So don't try to shut my channel down again because I love working with you. But when you think about it, that they could be at that level and do something to take this guy that's far and ahead, the forerunner, when the guy in office is destroying the country, and hold him accountable and say he can't run for president because of sedition when he's never been charged or convicted of sedition. How screwed up and corrupt are these people? That's like saying the Supreme Court is hearing my case today on a murder case, and I've never in my life been charged with murder, and I never filed anything to the Supreme Court for help. This is how ridiculous this is. That they should be removed from the bench. I think it's that serious. I think when the U.S. Supreme Court looks at this, they can if they look at some kind of impropriety or corruption on behalf of those judges, they could probably impose sanctions on them as well, including recommend they get recalled or removed from the bench. So
That's a good idea, Bill. I like that. Yeah,
there needs to be
it's hard to.
consequences for these targeted weaponization of the justice system, like what happened to you. And what's happening to Trump. I think he's right now charged with like 19 felonies in different states for different things, and every jurisdiction that's charged him has a Democrat prosecutor in charge who has made public statements, most of them, that they're going to go after Trump. Why? He's a different political party, and there's some key differences of opinions between the parties, but in the end, we're not a banana republic. You don't just make up crimes against your political opponents, and that's what's happening.
Well, you know what, Bill? They're not they're not too stupid. The other side, but they know that when Trump was in, the policies were working. Inflation was down. The economy was up. He was securing the border, which they still deny is open. And I wish that one of my wishes would be that the Mr. Johnson, the head of the House now, on the congressional side, would call his guy from the Democratic Party that holds his same position, and they would jointly go down to the border because he claims it's closed, like the rest of those people that are in denial, because they're afraid of what they're afraid of is they know that if Trump comes back, they lose power, but yet America gains because we'll be better off. I hate to think what this country would look like 4 years from now if they take over the way it's going now. We're being attacked by some of our military bases with very, very, very little response. And we all know that Iran is at the head of the snake. They're the ones funding these offshoots that call themselves terrorist organizations with the money that partly that we've given them, Iran. That's a joke.
Right. They're attacking Israel and us from like 4 or 5 different positions and terrorist locations and the Houthi rebels and all this nonsense. Why are we not immediately targeting Iran? Their military, their commanders, and the mullahs or whatever the hell those people are that run that country. Why are they not immediately targeted and eliminated from this earth?
Bill, I heard a general say something very intelligent. He says from the very beginning when they attacked our military bases and then used drones, and now they're up to a large number of attacks. And he said when the first time we got hit, we should have sent them a message right then. Yep. And we should have taken out their oil depot, which is where all their money's coming, because they're getting that oil supply in China and these other affiliates of theirs. And that would hurt them in the pocketbook, and they would know we're serious. So I'm hoping that happens sooner or later. We got to do something.
I find it interesting that when Trump was in, there was some commander or something, I forgot his name, the top general of the entire military in Iran visiting, was it Afghanistan? And his entourage was driving along the base after we withdrew or whatever, or maybe before, I forget the circumstances. Oh no, maybe it was outside of the Iraqi base. Trump immediately had, missiles dropped down from God knows where, right onto that guy and killed him because of exactly this, because the funding of these other proxies that are fighting us and killing us. Who the hell wants to be in the military right now when you know the Democrats are going to let you die and have other countries launch missiles and bombs at you and bullets, and you're going to be told, stand down, don't do a damn thing about it, when you have the strongest military on planet Earth, and you're told don't do anything when these crazy people who don't value life are shooting at you? Who the hell wants to be in the military right now?
That's right. The military recruitment is way down. But I heard something I'm going to check out financially. They've been shooting us with their weapons that we call drones. And I heard it reported that when we would take out that drone, the United States take out the drone with a missile, it was like costing us $2 million for a missile versus maybe $1,000 or $2,000 for a drone. Something don't sound right about that ratio.
Yeah, they probably need to come up.
I don't know why we can't use the same drones.
And I'm not sure, but I think a
Yeah.
lot of the drones are slow moving unless they're missiles of some kind. But China has said that they're sending warships over there and all this, and I think they have some kind of hypersonic missile that's like there's nothing supposedly to stop this particular missile. It's so fast, it goes like way multiple times the speed of sound, and it's so fast and so powerful that if they hit one of our aircraft carriers with it, that entire aircraft carrier will sink. It'll go down, and you know how big our aircraft carriers are. So our government, I
Yes.
remember there
Yeah.
was a military guy on the news a few weeks ago. He said, yes, they have that, and we have similar devices, but we actually do have things that can stop that hypersonic missile. They have
Wow.
laser-based weapons. They have laser-based, and so does Israel, um, where they have ships out there, and I've seen them use them in demos. You can find the demonstrations online. Big things that look like floodlights, and there's a ship out there just floating, like a target or whatever during practice. And they hit it with this laser, and it just vaporizes the center of the ship and sinks it. So they already have these
Wow.
laser technologies. The problem is a lot of them can't be used in bad weather or when there's atmospheric conditions or clouds or fog, because that distorts the strength of the beam. It's like a directed energy beam. So, but all that technology is coming a long way. A lot of it's space now. A lot of it is in airplanes that can look down and fire those lasers. I would imagine
I,
that's the
I was told,
technology.
Bill, I was told, Bill, that when it comes to technology, number one in the world is supposed to be Israel. And
Yeah,
Israel is our greatest partner over there in the Middle East to keep that Middle East in control. And we were just drawing closer uh, to Saudi Arabia for an agreement. And I know that that's going to happen once the next election happens, and we know that there's going to be changes in administration.
it's amazing how Trump
It's,
came in. I remember one of the first things he did. He went to the Middle East, I think to Saudi, and he made sure that all the leaders in the Middle East showed up. Every one of them came there for like a peace conference or sit down, powwow, whatever. And he got them all to agree, make peace. He moved the embassy where it was supposed to be in Israel. And people said, "Oh, you can't do that. The Palestinians will freak out." Well, they're freaking out anyway. So let them freak out for a day
that's
or two and do what's required. Trump stepped right in, did what
that's
was
right.
required. He forced them to sit down, shake hands, agree to disagree on certain things, and let's stop killing each other. Now we have people in power who are afraid to talk to them. Oh no, they're scary. They'll kill people. Well, that's what they do anyway. And so when Hitler was in power, you had Chamberlain who was appeasing Hitler. We won't interfere if you do this or do that. And well, Hitler told Poland and all these other countries, I'm not going to invade, and he invaded them anyway. So you can't
Yeah,
appease a tyrant or a dictator. The only thing that changed was Winston Churchill came back in power and eliminated him, because only a fool believes that you can placate or talk to or appease a dictator or a tyrant. You just can't do it. There's no talking to him.
yeah, I agree.
So,
I agree 100%. It's a shame. We don't know. We don't even know if the hostages are still being hidden in those tunnels, or they moved them out because they were going to start flooding the tunnels, with water. Then, did you see the latest tunnels they discovered that where you could actually drive vehicles through the tunnels?
yep, I
They were
saw
that
those.
big. The other
Yeah.
tunnel, yeah, the other tunnels were one person and maybe just a little bit of a backpack and stuff on you could get through, kind of narrow. They showed this big tunnel that they were building. Can you imagine the concrete and cement they used to build those tunnels
They're getting
all through
billions and
underneath those
billions and
areas?
billions of dollars from the international community for aid for decades, stealing all of it and living in palatial mansions in other countries. A lot of the Hamas leadership, they have gigantic properties and security teams for them living in other countries, while the people are left to starve. That country and the ocean that's right there could have been a big resort, and the tourism and all kinds of stuff could have been a beautiful resort area. Instead, it's in
Yeah,
ruins. And even before this happened, it was ruined. Why? Because we're going to kill every Israeli. So who wants to go there? If that's your attitude, you're going to kidnap and kill everybody. Who the hell wants to patronize your country? Who wants to be part of that nonsense? It's a culture of death. It's all they live for. They live for death. Kill all the Americans. Kill all the Jewish people. make no bones about it. I am a Christian. I support wholeheartedly Israel. I love the Jewish people, and I think I call them ham ass. Ham, like the ham sandwich / ass. I call
Yeah.
them ham ass. So anybody who wants to support ham ass, and you're supporting a terrorist group, and you need to go to prison. So that's my opinion, YouTube, and I'm entitled to my opinion because they're putting their opinion all over the place, and their opinion is based upon propaganda and lies. At least the other side and the Israeli side, they come with the videos, they come with the facts, they come with the evidence about what's going on. They're hiding in the hospitals, they're hiding behind children. The victims of their raid in Israel were slaughtered. Things happen to these babies and young women and men that are unspeakable, but some videos have leaked out, and the worst of humanity, and nothing about, we want a free country. No, it was like a bloodlust. They just wanted to kill and do other things, violate people in the worst possible ways, and left a trail of destruction. And yet you have people who have the nerve to take the posters down all over the country for missing children that are still kidnapped and being exploited in the worst possible ways. And if they fight back, they're killed or whatever's going on, we'll never know. I mean, it's incredible that we have anybody in this country
Bill,
supporting that.
It's one thing too with the propaganda they're spreading, that all these young students in these colleges were rioting, and because they listen to the other side and refuse to look at video and stuff, live stuff that's video, and that they don't get it, and they're pushing against Israel, and they're pushing against Biden, believe it or not, because he's not making peace and stopping the war.
You know what I think is hysterical. What you have these Muslim / Palestine supporters. There's no country in the history of planet Earth called Palestine. There's no currency. There's no flag. There's no borders. Nothing. So this is a fabrication that's been going on forever. And so you have these ignorant college students who you think would be brilliant and smart and at least know how to use the internet and do some of their own research. They're defending people that are mass murdering, horrendous human beings who want to not just, hey, that's our land and let's have a fair fight or a negotiation. They want to go and slaughter everybody to take it. I don't understand. What's wrong with these college students? The professors that encourage that need to be in prison in this country. There's federal laws that say you cannot lead aid, support, or comfort to a designated terrorist group, and Hamas is a designated terrorist group. So if you're taking over train stations and you're protesting for them and attacking Jewish students who are only there for an education, I just don't get it why they're not being prosecuted. The president of Harvard is the only one standing after that ridiculous, pathetic testimony to Congress. She's been accused of plagiarism 40 times in her career. Yes, she's the president of Harvard, a black woman. She said that genocide is okay depending on the country.
I just want you to know that just very recently, more plagiarism came out, and now they're looking into it again, into her, the president of Harvard. And in our Youngstown, Ohio, we have Youngstown State University. There was a board, I think the board of directors there, whatever the board of trustees, the board of trustees did some interviewing, and they came out and picked out to be in as the finalist, and they end up choosing him, Congressman Johnson. He was from the Columbiana, Mahoning, Trumbull area districts, and they started protesting against him. Now, that protest also led to some big money people pulling their money from some of the foundations, and I think it appears to be basing their whole uprising because he's a conservative. Can you believe that?
Yep.
And but he went one step further. When that happened, it made the news, and they went to him for some answers. He said, "I wasn't ashamed to tell him I was for Donald Trump." I said, "Well, that had to set off a bunch of them right off the bat."
Right.
I mean, it's a shame.
You know
You
what
can't,
makes
you're
me
supposed to have
happy?
free speech and say what you want to say, but
The Democrat
go
Party
ahead.
was full of people like you, people with a good heart, people who really meant well. The Democrat Party of years ago, my mother was in love. Oh my God, she was in love. We had pictures of Jimmy Carter all over the house. So that was a whole different era, you know. I got away from the party for two reasons, and they're both faith based. One is the support of abortion, which I don't support, and two, support of gay marriage. So I've talked to some of my um, for religious grounds.
Let
I
me
can't,
interrupt you 1 minute, Bill.
personally.
Let me interrupt you 1 minute.
Mhm.
Let me just tell you one thing. You just hit on something. The two things you said. What do you think about what just came out recently about the Pope's position?
What?
Do you know what
I
that
didn't hear
is?
it. What happened? I can only imagine what happened with him now.
He's supporting gay marriage.
Oh, really? Even though the Bible
Now
says
go
don't.
figure. Go. Yeah, that's
YouTube,
right.
this is
Go
now,
figure
if
it
we're
out.
speaking from a position of our faith and life experience. This is my opinion and Frank's opinion. And
That's
because
right.
they
My
look at these
opinion.
shows,
It's my opinion.
right?
It's my opinion, Bill, that because what happened in our area and probably around the country with the uh, priests that were found out to have a gay nature about
Right.
themselves
Well,
when
yeah.
they were
More,
discovered.
more than that.
When they
More
were
than
just
that.
when
It
they
was messing around with children. You know,
yeah
gay
yeah
is one
yeah
thing. If you're gonna do stuff like that, in my opinion, you don't have to
no, they
flaunt
did
it in front
both.
of
They did
families and children who are not have a different faith or a different belief system.
right,
Do what you do in private. I
but
believe
the
do whatever you
ones
want in private.
that
That's between you and God.
yeah they moved them out to other parishes, but the ones that messed with children, they moved them out to parishes. They should have been turned over to the authorities and prosecuted. So that led to an exit from the Catholic Church, I believe, because people didn't know that was dead wrong and that should have been dealt with. I mean, the gays, that's a different story, but they still, some people were the belief that people went into the church as cover. Well, whatever it is, I mean, today's a different world, and everybody has rights, and they're making everybody to have rights. But that doesn't mean you have to agree with everything and go along with everything. You have your own beliefs,
Exactly.
what you believe. As
So
long
we're
as you believe in God's word,
right.
that's the foundation and source of your belief.
So you and I are expressing our opinions based upon our strongly held religious convictions and
That's right.
faith. And I don't hate these
That's
people at
right.
all. They're entitled to do
That's
whatever they want. The result for them is in God's hands. But my personal belief is you don't do it in public in front of kids or families who maybe have religious convictions and don't want to be around that. They don't want to see that. They don't want to have these naked men dancing in the kindergarten class or whatever they're doing. These events and sharing bathrooms. I would love to see the day if I had a minor daughter or any daughter, and a guy went in there saying he has a right to use the ladies' room while she's in there. So you're out of your mind. It's not going to end well for him. I'll tell you that. So, but they say it's
no,
okay.
you're actually right. Bill, but I think you might be underestimating. Those are not only our religious beliefs, but also non-religious believers too believe the same thing that you and I are discussing and believing in. And we know at the end, they're going to have to answer to their maker, whoever they believe is their maker. We know who their maker is, but they have their own freedom of choice, is what the Lord blessed us with, and you have
And I
to be
believe,
answerable
right?
to maker. Yeah,
So it is a matter of choice. I just believe that there should be severe consequences for flaunting it in front of children, for trying to indoctrinate and recruit children into acts that are for adults in private or whatever. But so let's move on from that. Again, YouTube. These are our opinions. We are strong Christians here, and I don't hate anybody of a different orientation. But I can't publicly support it. I can't say that I support gay marriage because I don't. But I don't care what people do behind closed doors. That's between themselves and their creator. That's it.
amen, amen, and amen.
We should start a faith-based channel next. matters
Oh
of
boy,
faith.
God is good.
We should call it. We should
God is
call
good.
the faith-based channel "Convicts in Christ."
Boy, it's something.
Anyway, so what
Bill,
else is
I
in the
think
news?
that well, I mean, they're trying to now. You do know that the Senate, I believe, is out till January 8th, right? And you know that the president of Ukraine was here last week, hat in hand, because they need more money for weapons.
Of course.
But we've never seen any detailed plans of where the money's going, or what's the plan? Is there an exit plan? Is there a peace plan put on the table? Are we trying to get peace between them? Is Ukraine willing to give up some land to get the people back and stop the war and stop the brutal killing? I don't know that we don't know where the accountability is, because it's never been said where all these billions of dollars we're sending over there.
And worse than that, there's been some stuff coming out over the last few months that some people very, very close to Zelensky in the military and all that have evidently purloined, stolen billions of our dollars and already shifted it to other countries. So it's just the whole world is corrupt. I'm telling you. The whole world is corrupt. Nothing is as it appears. A nice guy I'm going to introduce you to.
Hope that our money is.
What's that?
Go ahead.
A nice guy.
I said, let's just hope. I said, let's hope that those rumors you said where our money's going, that those rumors aren't true, because that would really cause a big backlash in this country.
It's definitely, I believe it's true from what I heard. It's one thing after the other. Corruption is at every level, and we know who runs the show on Earth right now. So can you expect anything less? People are greedy. People have egos. Right. People want their way at the expense of everybody else and killing people. So anyway,
you and I know the system. The political system seems to be all about power and money. They go hand in hand.
How about this, Frank? I don't think you've read any of my books yet, but I wrote 2 books. One is my Sex and the Serial Killer, My Bizarre Times with Robert Durst. It's an expose on Robert Durst, the wealthiest serial killer in American history. And I knew him years ago, and I wrote this from the point of view of victim advocacy to try to open the eyes of the victims and the family members of victims. And then my second book is about Galen Maxwell. Now, Galen Maxwell's book is called Galen, Sensational and Impure, because the judge on her case in New York said this material is far too sensational and impure to release to the public. So I said, wow, that's a great subtitle for my book. So that's my second book. Well, guess what? I'm creating now, second edition. 2 or 3 days ago, the judge ruled that they're going to be releasing, I think it's like a list of 180 names or 170 something names of people that were at his island, on his jets, all these celebrities, politicians, lawyers, very famous, affluent, wealthy people who have been mostly completely corrupted and on camera with minors. And we can't get into graphic detail on this particular channel. But yeah, so I'm doing a second edition. And on the very last day, when the judge publishes that list, that same day, it's going instantly, first thing in the morning, the whole list into my book. And by that afternoon, that book's going to be published and out available, because there's going to be a whole firestorm of people running for cover.
Bill, let me give you a little breaking news last night that I saw on the late news.
Uh-oh.
I believe she's a United States Senator. I believe she's from the state of Tennessee, and I believe her last name is Washburn.
On Fox, I think I saw that same thing.
Yeah, she sits on that committee that you're talking about, the book, right. And what's going on? Well, they got a ruling now. The guy that's been holding that up is a Democratic senator, of course, from Chicago, Illinois, I should say, the state of Illinois, as a U.S. senator by the name of Durbin. He's been sitting on that. Yeah, he's the head of that committee, and he doesn't want it released. Well, they got some kind of injunction that it said it's going to be released in January. So you'll be able to do what you want to do with your book and your names.
The individual who may or may not have something to hide or don't want to be embarrassed by association, my understanding is they have till January 4th to individually file why their name should not be released because the people know who they are.
Yeah, that's the same date that I heard, January 4th. Yeah, you got that. This is
Yep.
going to be interesting, very interesting, because I believe there's a lot of people that don't want that out, and there's already been accusations and charges made, but they can't validate it. Now, if those people that are making the names that have been abused or whatever have been brought forth to the investigators, and those names happen to appear in the book, they've got some serious issues to deal with. You know,
More
that's
than
in their hands.
if they appear in a flight log or a guest book or whatever. More important than that is the suppression of the videos that exist, the hidden camera videos of these ultra prominent wealthy people on camera doing whatever with underage individuals. And that is not these facts have been coming out in the media. This is a news story here. We're doing this for entertainment, but also for reporting of news and explaining our opinions on the news. So there are clearly tons and tons of videos out. I personally was in the Palm Beach house, Epstein's house, years ago. I knew him in a very minor way, but it was a serious incident that I saw, and I confronted him about it. And without going into too much here, in my book that you'll see on the screen here, and the links in the description, I name names in that book. And people who read that book told me a long time ago, because I've seen certain things at that house, certain people at that house, certain videos at that house. I was with Galen Maxwell at that house in Palm Beach. Certain people have said, everybody connected to this turns up dead, whether it's Epstein or Jean Luc, the modeling agent, fake guy. I met him too. All these people connected are turning up dead. Anybody who goes against them and tries to expose them is turning up dead. So I'll tell you who I named. I named Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, when I gave an interview about why I put her in my book and what I know about her, my friend interviewed me, and I'll get you on his show as well. It's called Invest in Yourself. And he put just that one clip of me talking about Hillary Clinton on TikTok, and within like 3 days, I got 4 million views. Guess who shut it down? My comments. The Clintons got TikTok to pull the video. So, yeah, this is pretty crazy how they control the social media. They control what you're allowed to talk about. Now, this is the United States of America. My understanding of free speech is you can talk about whatever the heck you want as long as you're not inciting violence or teaching people how to commit a crime. So as long as you're staying, that's always been pretty much the foundation. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but it was always just don't incite violence, but say whatever you want. Now, God forbid, you should say, you should call somebody by the wrong designation. Some areas, if you call somebody a him or a her and they want to be called a he, she, or whatever they want to call it, you can get in trouble. You can get arrested. It's ridiculous. Society is going downhill so fast.
Bill, what sentence did she get at Maxwell?
I believe
what kind of sentence did she get?
I believe it was 20 years, and I think her first round of appeals has already been dismissed. She might have some other appeal action going in right now. I think her only option is, as you know, in the feds, they allow people to cooperate before the conviction, and then there's a provision for them to cooperate anytime they decide to while they're serving the sentence. I think, like you said, once those names get
released, I didn't know that, Bill, that they could go afterwards, because you know why? What I kept wondering is she said, and they said, whoever said she had one of the books, and I couldn't believe that she wasn't offering that up to make a deal. I thought for sure they would give her a deal, but maybe they didn't want the names released either. I don't know, but it's January 4th. More people are going to find out.
Look, none of us are getting any younger. I think she got sentenced when she was like, 58 or 60 or something, 20-year sentence. I'm sure she doesn't want to, necessarily die or get, very unhealthy in prison. I'm sure she's going to make a deal. The problem is the people that she gave all these young girls to, they're very powerful, very, very prominent. A lot of them are, heads of state from other countries and royalty and all these people that they have no qualms whatsoever about going after somebody. And so she knows that it's not just run of the mill people. I don't know what happened to your picture. It just came out of focus a little bit. Is that your internet? Are you there, Frank?
No, yeah, I'm still the same. I'm in the same position. I haven't moved. My internet, I just, I pumped that up. They did that yesterday. They said 24 hours it would kick in.
I think it's a lot better because there's been no echo from your side anymore, like the first show. But for some reason, the picture just went in and out. But it's back now. It's good. So,
and we didn't have, and we haven't had any interruption. We haven't had any interruption like we did the first time.
Right, exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up. We're going to get a good format going where we'll come up with 4 or 5 topics. We'll come on here as frequently as we need to. I mean, if something's breaking news, we'll jump on it that same day. If, we can decide between us to schedule a regular day. So we're just testing the waters here, and I'm glad to have Frank on board. He's getting ready to retire from his full-time job. He wants to do speaking engagements. He wants to share his faith. He wants to share how corrupt this criminal justice system is. And anybody who would like to book him as a guest, please contact me. My email is on the screen, and or Frank directly through his website. I'm sure that he's got some contact methods there, and he'd be happy to be a guest on your show. So I told him I'd help him try to line up some more interviews. Check out his book, Framed Innocence. It shows you how the justice system is so corrupted and how politicians routinely weaponize it to go after political adversaries. So, Frank, do you have anything else you'd like to add or promote before we say goodbye?
Well, I hope we talk again before Christmas, but if we don't, for some reason, health reasons, that's God forbid, I want to wish everybody that's viewing your material, because you do an excellent job, Bill, of researching, and that's very important. And researching the facts, the truth, that's what we want to bring out, not innuendos and lies and fabrications. But I want to wish them all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year yourself, you and your family. I got to know some of them, and you guys are blessed to have each other. And I just want to say this for the world. It's a sentiment as old as time. Even Rodney King summed it up. Can't we all just get along? All we want is peace on earth, goodwill towards each other, to be happy with our families and our lives. I don't understand this reason, this bloodlust desire to bring people down, hate on another person, kill people. Diane? So somebody's working with cellophane right next to me, and it's making an incredible loud noise over here. So
I can't hear it over here.
Okay,
I don't hear it over here.
Pick it up, but anyway, we're getting ready for Christmas dinner here tonight, a fellowship dinner. Anyway, so that being said, wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We wish that for peace in Israel, and that things just settle down and people get freed and rescued and all that things that need to happen. And so one of my favorite movies is the A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And so I will say this: God bless us all, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Frank, for being here.
You're welcome.